Or who you blow, sorry. Did I say that? Okay, sorry.
Oh no, you might get cancer.
Being the son of somebody famous.
I think when I did a sound check with him, I was 11 or 10.
Okay.
But maybe I was good then. Maybe I had something special going on. I used to dream about it sometimes, you know. Like,
Really?
Yeah, like
Okay.
being on stage with him.
Then was he always away when you were a kid?
Yeah, there was a lot of touring. Much like an alt rocker, you know, I would always join like punk bands or heavy metal bands or hard rock bands or some like folky bands. But like that's where my passion was. But of course, there's not that much money in that. And you know, in London, sometimes you know, I feel like people cringe when they see you walk down the street with a guitar. Like, oh God.
My wife is not a Beatles fan. Sorry, guys. I mean, I am.
I think the most successful people I've met in music are the most traumatized. All right. Yeah, it's good. I think I'm ready. I went down to church to go on to lost time, go on to the sun.
Rufus, how you doing, man?
Pleasure, yeah, I'm doing really good, yeah, having a good time, happy to be in Czechia.
This is the second or third time you've been here, is it?
Maybe more actually, I think it might be the 5th or 6th time I've been here, yeah.
And you've been here a few days already?
Yeah, since Friday, yeah, and we've done 3 shows, and this will be the 4th one here tonight.
Where were the shows before here?
This place called Farmer Blato, I hope I'm saying that right, which is like in the countryside outside of Prague. They've all kind of been outside of Prague, and then we played, oh my mind's going blank. Last night was Beatah, am I saying that right? And then the one before that was Sono Records, which was really cool.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Brilliant. I didn't
Yeah.
realise that you did a kind of live performance there.
Yeah. It was like a gig for their friends kind of thing, and then they recorded it.
Oh, fantastic. It's a great studio. It's a really great studio.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, I've been down there several times myself. I brought some of my friends from London down there. It's brilliant.
Nice.
So, and then you're off to Poland after this, isn't that right?
Yeah.
So a few more days, a couple of more shows. Is this the last show you're doing here?
In this country, yeah, here.
In Prague,
yeah.
and then Czech Republic, and then on to Poland.
Yeah.
So you're a fellow Londoner, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in London since the 80s myself, but
Nice.
but you grew up there.
Grew up there, yeah. I was brought up, always London, south, basically all over south mainly. A little bit east, but yeah, it's home.
Because your dad, I think he lives in the south of France now.
That's right, and Paris as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you lived with him here for a while, or was it always abroad? Well, you grew up here, so...
Oh yeah, no, I never lived with him in France, no. I think he must have moved there when I was like 16, something like that. So, no, it seems to suit him quite well, you know, yeah.
So you grew up in London, so you went to art college there, apparently.
That's right, yeah. I did foundation in Kingston, and then I did my degree at Goldsmiths, South East. And that opened up South East London to me, so I've stayed South East ever since then.
And that was fine art, was it?
Fine art, yeah. Which is one of those kind of open courses where like lots of conceptual stuff and mixed media, so it wasn't just like painting, it was a bit of everything. And that's where I met all my bandmates and musicians, and I don't know, I guess did that classic thing of a suburban kid going to an art school and ended up just being in bands.
So you think you needed, because you're good at obviously painting and you can draw, so was there a kind of compulsion to do that, or did the guitar just completely take over?
I guess like art and music for me I was doing it at the same time, so really when I was like 7 or 8 I was like, okay, I'm going to take this really seriously, and both of them at the same time. And Yeah, I suppose like when I came to being like 17, 18, when it was like, are you really studying music or are you going to really study art? Art seemed a lot more like manageable for me. Like I could do that. It just made more sense. And yeah, I don't know. I've just juggled the two. But I've never made art a career. It's always been like a hobby and something I studied. I've never really sold paintings. It's just for me. Whereas music, the way I made that a career to start with was teaching, then session playing, and then, yeah, that's kind of been my route with it.
I bet your mum's got them all over the house, though.
Yeah, how did you know?
Mums always do. Because your mum was an actress.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, she was, yeah.
And was she in anything we would know, or?
Probably not. No, she did a lot of theatre. She was part of theatre companies and did some TV spots as well. But when she started having kids, she kind of focused on being full-time mum. But she still makes art, so she really encourages me to do art as well. You know.
Was she disappointed you didn't go down that route, or was she okay with like guitars close enough?
I think she's fine with it. Yeah, she just supports me whatever I do. But yeah, I think she's. I think she definitely wants me to do more exhibitions for sure. So when I do an exhibition, she's really psyched about it, and yeah, she's super supportive of everything I do, though, which is nice.
So that was really good growing up, that your mum and dad, both of them, were very supportive about you doing art. They never sort of said, "You don't want to do this, son. You really need to get a different kind of job, a proper job."
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky though. Just like, particularly my mum was just like, if you need money, teach guitar. You're good at that. So that was quite nice that she was always pushing me to do the arts, and she was like, "Yeah, go to art school. That'd be great for you." And yeah, she's they're definitely true artists, my parents. So they're just like, "Yeah, if you want to do it, do it." But they always warn me it's not always that easy, and you know. They're right, but I'm glad I stuck with it. And a lot of people don't have that, you know. A lot of parents are just like, "Don't do that. Do something which is safe."
Yeah.
But they were encouraging. It's nice.
Well, it's like a vocation, isn't it? You don't really have a lot of choice in the matter. It's either for you or it's not. You know what I mean? I think that's the good thing about the music industry in some ways. You know, people fall away because they just don't. They don't have what it takes. Is honestly the rule of thumb at the end of the day.
If you give me my final rights, I'll do anything that you want. You give me my final right, I'll get anything you need.
So, growing up at home, you have a sister as well, Misty. And she's an artist as well, obviously.
Yeah,
makes music.
She's 9 years younger than me, and from a very young age, I was like, "Oh, you're special." So she's a supremely talented singer, songwriter, performer, and that's been pretty inspiring because she got signed when she was like 17 and had management deal and all of that.
She signed to Sony, I think, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, and she was gracious enough and kind enough to kind of like, my brother's a pretty good guitar player, you know, he could play. And so these producers were like, we're going to get the older brother to play guitar on this, you know. But it was really cool. So she kind of helped me step into that session guitar player role, giving me the chance, allowing me to tour with her and cut the records with her and stuff. And she's amazing. I'm super proud of her. She still does it, and we still do gigs together from time to time.
So growing up in the household, obviously your dad, super session player, always touring. So did you see a lot of them when you were growing up? It's kind of difficult really with sons, with dads who are stars in the sense of how much time they get to have with them. Was he always away when you were a kid?
Yeah, there was a lot of touring. When did he started touring like a lot when I was like 5, and I can't really remember younger than 5. And you just always be on the road. I think it was something like 9 months a year, and sporadically coming back. But yeah, we were all very encouraging of him doing it, and it was pretty amazing to see him become this big rock star, you know. Like it's amazing. Then when I got to see him play shows, it was like, whoa, like what is this? What's he doing, you know?
Because he's obviously he's famous for playing with Sting. He's played with so many people, hasn't he?
It's true.
Phil Collins and like a plethora of people.
Mm-hmm.
The list is endless. Eddie Reader. Who else did I read? He's done loads, hasn't he?
Mark Hollis was a big one because he
Level 42.
Level 42. Yeah, those.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many amazing musicians.
Peter Gabriel.
Yeah. And sometimes I got to meet some of these people, and they were often really sweet. Often, like the session guys, would blew my mind, like Vinny Colaiuta or people like that, David Sanchez, and you know, just these like, wow, like these guys are the highest level musicians, and often they were really gracious and really supportive of me. Like, hey man, keep playing, send me your demo, you know. So it's kind of cool.
So you started obviously with your sister doing, like being a session player for your sister.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're really a bona fide artist, mainly concentrating on your own music.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think about going down that session route?
I guess in my mid-20s I was doing a lot of live sessions, and sessions in terms of like doing short tours for people or showcases for people. It kind of built up, but I I'm such like an alt rocker, you know. I would always join like punk bands or heavy metal bands or hard rock bands or some like folky bands, but like that's where my passion was. But of course there's not that much money in that, so I'd take the big gigs, get some money from that and do that. But it kind of came to a bit of a crossroads where I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? Like, I'm not making enough money if I want to play this style of music. But yeah, I don't know, I've sort of saved my chips and thought, you know what, I'm going to invest in myself now before I get too old, let people know about my music. I started releasing my music in 2018 properly under my name, not disguised under a band. And yeah,
that was Pop School, wasn't it? The first
album?
the
first one. Yeah. And so I'm happy to now like have a band that can gig it and promote it, and it seems to be slowly working.
That sounds great. I listened to all your records the last couple of days. I immersed myself in all things Rufus Miller. So it was brilliant. I love the records, honestly, hand in my heart. Production's great. Mixes are great, really strong. So did you produce it yourself?
I didn't know. I was living in Copenhagen for 4 years. So I was this guy called Peter Iverson that did it. And then I got a session drummer called Paul Kaiser. And I guess just the excitement and the romance of being in Copenhagen just kind of motivated me to put it down properly, and they all got behind me. I guess I was quite exotic, the musician from London, and I was touring a lot. So when I came back from tour, go straight into the studio, and so we took our time and cut 2 records, and I'm so happy I did, you know. I'm glad that you like them. Yeah,
well, technically they're fantastic. Well, the songs are fantastic as well, and I think your voice is tremendous on it. Like, I love the third gear. I love your belter.
Oh yeah,
like it, the first track, I think, on the first album. You know, the what's this? Something lady.
Wicked Lady.
Wicked Lady. That belter, like held note at the end. You know, it's like going on forever. I loved it. It was fantastic. Kind of. Listening to your music, it sort of reminds me of a lot of different things. There seems to be like a lot of different influences in there. I was kind of hearing Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah.
And then I was hearing sort of like, so I'm just looking at my notes, like Nick Drake.
Oh, yeah.
And the Riverman kind of thing. And then there's also, you know, even a little bit of Depeche Mode.
Love Depeche Mode, yeah. That Violator album is like...
It's one of my favourite records, amazing record, yeah. That really, I could hear that sort of that voice in there, and then also a kind of a dark Americana. So if I put all that into a pot, I think that's kind of what I'm hearing. You know, I was trying to extradite the elements. That would be it. Is that a fair comment? You think?
I'm glad that comes across. That's exactly what I was trying to do.
Well, job done. I was impressed, and as I said, I really loved it, especially your first album as well. Well, all the records sound great. EPs, the latest EP sounds fantastic as well.
Man.
And but you started off really strong, you know. That's a great album, you know, and you just kept the level up. But it was a really strong record to start with.
Appreciate it.
And sort of writing-wise, you write with your sister sometimes, don't you, the odd time?
Yeah, we do. Less now, but yeah, we've written like heaps of songs together, yeah. I do like collaborating with people though a lot, you know, like, just sitting down, making it very clear we're going to come up with something, and, you know, and then I'll just take it and run with it, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, for people who don't know out there, your dad obviously is Dominic Miller. He's, you know, very famous session guy, works with Sting and has a huge career. Have you ever written together?
We have actually, yeah.
Okay.
We have, yeah, quite a lot when I was like 17, 18, 19, that kind of time. I remember he got commissioned once to do kind of a song where it would have vocals and like a melody, and he didn't end up using my vocals, but he used my melody, and it got covered by a Japanese artist, and that was pretty amazing for me, being like 18 and my melody kind of being the other side of the world. But yeah, little bits and here and then. And also he was quite helpful for me if I brought an unfinished song, and he'd be like, how about this chord?
Right.
And how about this? And like, do you want to go? I'll be, oh yeah, like, you know, you get tingles thinking about it, you know, like I'd never think to do this kind of sophisticated chord, and it would send me on a long journey of composing.
So you played with Sting obviously as well. So how did you get the call? What happened there?
So I think it came off the back of working with my sister, because I started touring with my sister. And then my dad actually asked me to do a tour with him here in Czechia when I was 25.
Okay.
And we did, I think, 4 shows. And I just did like 3 songs as part of his gig. Some guest vocals. We actually did a Depeche Mode song, Enjoy the Silence. Well, I sang that on one of his songs. I was like, oh, it sounds a bit like that song, and he approved.
I'm quite chuffed I picked up the Depeche Mode.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm chuffed too. But I think Sting was like, oh, okay, he can do it. So he got me to do 2 legs of a tour. I kind of would have liked it to have been longer, but I probably wasn't ready at age 26 by the time I got the call. And that was amazing. Got to do a leg in the States, a leg in Europe, and then I went home, you know, and then I was like, wow, that was an experience. And then what was very amazing for me is like 4 years later, he said, I've just done a new album, I've got new management, why don't you try out for some promo shows, we'll see how it goes. And then I was on his books for like 6 years. I did all the touring for 6 years. Fantastic. It was like holding on to this rope, like, wow, I want to do longer than 2 legs. And yeah, it was, I did. I'm super proud of it. It was amazing. Like, and that was 2 years ago that ended. And yeah, ridiculously proud that I got to do that. I learned a lot.
See, I heard a different story.
Oh, yeah.
See, in my FBI profile,
oh, yeah.
You know, I heard that you used to get up and jam at the at sound check, and that's where kind of Sting originally kind of heard your chops and went, okay, this guy can really play. And then when they needed a rhythm guitar player, it was Sting who kind of said, well, what about you?
That's true. Well, I think when I did a sound check with him, I was 11 or 10.
Okay.
But maybe I was good then. Maybe I had something special going on. But I think they just said, play one of your riffs, you know,
right.
And it was like super basic. And then like Vinny's there like, yeah, let's, okay. And I was like, whoa. But I remember Trudy, his wife, was like, you're good. Like, I'm going to make a note. And one day when you're old enough. And I think unconsciously I was like, okay. Yeah. Like, you know, maybe I could get to that level one day, you know. But amazing. Then you kind of forget about it and you think, I mean, these guys are the top of the top musicians. I'm like this, I don't know, maybe I wasn't thinking that highly of myself as I got older, but it was really cool. I used to dream about it sometimes, you know. Like,
really?
Yeah, like
okay.
Being on stage with him. But, you know, it felt just like a dream, not like a reality.
Well, you were visualizing. Maybe it was visualization. You can make these things become a reality. I'm a big believer in that, which leads me on to, so between 2016 and 2018, you went to India.
Yeah.
So was that to try, it was a one-way ticket if I...
Yeah.
And so you were trying to find yourself, be enlightened. What was the...
Yeah, that's what a lot of my musician mates said, exactly the same thing before I left. I feel like I was going through my dark night of the soul when I was 30 years old. Things got incredibly dark for me. And I just figured... you know what I did? I went on this website called Workaway, And I just looked for jobs with my skill set. Like I teach yoga, I teach guitar, I play guitar, and you know, all the things that I've always done for work. And loads of places in India said, we'd love you to have you join us. So I went to an ashram and I spent 6 weeks there, getting up super early, teaching guitar,
Amazing.
doing all sorts of jobs, learning new skills. And then I went traveling. And then I kind of had someone look after me like a manager or a mentor. And he said, Ruf, like, let's learn some happy songs. Let's play songs for travelers.
Okay.
You need to be playing guitar 8 hours a day. You need to join social media, and you need to just, you know, lighten it up and just get your chops up. You know, just like, cheer up. And it worked. And I just followed, I guess, the hippies, the new age path, the hippie trail, and that led me to Copenhagen. And then when I got to Copenhagen, within 2 weeks of me being there, that's when Sting said, I want you back in the band. So I guess it worked. Whatever happened in India, like, it kind of got my vibe up, you know, my energy, my juju up.
Well, I don't think you can underestimate meditation and yoga. Really has been a really hugely positive force in anyone's life. I mean, with meditation, I mean, I was just thinking about that today because my wife meditates. I try. I mean, I'm always fighting monkey mind all the time. My brain is doing too much. Stop! Leave me alone. But yeah, so you know, it's trying to slow things down. I think actually with meditation you can actually slow time. I'm a big believer in that, where you start to, you know, you notice detail and you can actually slow time down with meditation.
And don't you feel like that's what music is as well? It's completely manipulating time, or your perception of time.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Music can become like a meditation, right? I'm sure people that have that kind of mind chatter, or like you said, monkey mind, like we go for music because it's like, for a moment we can stop thinking.
Well, it's clearing the clutter out, isn't it? Just to have just peace and nothing.
Yeah.
Is the whole thing, isn't it? Just get rid of it, and maybe then afterwards you can have some perspective on maybe you're worrying too much. Not so much need to worry. Well, that's easy for us to say, I suppose. For some other people, it's a different experience. But also yoga. So you're still practicing yoga now, and
Yeah.
Is still a big part of your life, yoga and meditation?
It's huge now. It's actually huge, more important than it's ever been. I've managed to keep a kind of regular practice, and especially with the headbanging and the screaming, I don't know if my body would be able to hack it if I didn't have the balance of just the discipline. You wake up early, do an hour practice, be around. You know, I like to go to classes now. I never allowed myself that kind of luxury, so now I go to classes in Peckham, near where I live, and it's pretty blissful for me. And just the hour of the day where I don't think, and I feel strong from it, so it's good.
Well, it's going to become mainstream now, hasn't it? Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally mainstream. It's like nearly odd if you don't do some sort of meditation or yoga.
Totally.
I mean, maybe we're living in a bubble, I don't know, but you know, I think it's fair to say everybody knows now it's good for you. No matter what you say or how cynical you are, just give it a go. You probably find it's really helpful.
Yeah. And the emphasis on breathing, I think, is so good that people are thinking about that, you know. But yeah.
So going back on your influences, and you know, obviously the bands that I pointed out, but you're also a big metal fan.
Huge.
So people would never think that with the kind of music that you do. When I'm talking about Queens of the Stone Age, Nick Drake, and then you love metal. Do you think there's some inner rage there that you're kind of trying to channel? I mean, I'm you know, we've all got rage somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the yin and the yang, isn't it? There's always a bit. So do you think? Because I mean, I was in metal bands when I was younger, so I understand the kind of the modus operandi in a way, what drives you to do it. But I think I do anyway. But do you feel that that's a release for you, the whole metal thing?
Big time. When I was a small kid, I wanted to be a boxer. I told my mum I want to be a boxer, like from as young as I can remember. Okay. And she's like, and I even did like, you know, kids karate class or whatever. And she just was like, you don't have to fight, you know, why don't you just put it out in your art and music? So I would say that my creative output, or the stuff that I'm drawn towards, is quite aggressive, you know, and quite intense, visceral. And that's the stuff I have in my headphones pretty much all day. Someone screaming at me and just super like all this kind of stuff. And the art I like is the same. The art I make is the same. But I'm such a fan of it that I know that what I do is not really the real deal. So it's like I'll go to metal shows all the time, and I'll listen to it, and I hang out in metal bars all the time. But I don't want to. I don't want to mess up the. I don't want to mess up the genre by trying to. But I like taking elements of it into my music, and some people can tell, but it's just an inspiration.
Yeah, you got a great guitar sound.
Thanks, man.
What for the nerdy guitar people out there, what are you playing at the moment and through?
Oh, well, this guitar, I'm in love with this Nelson guitar. So the guitar tech that I had was Sting. He's called Richie. And he recommended his friend, Bruce Nelson, that makes copies of really nice guitars.
Right.
And he makes them for like Stone Temple Pilots and people like that. And he noticed that I was really struggling with Les Paul all the time, because I'm normally a Les Paul
heavy
dude, right? Yeah. And like I was feeling it, and he's like, "Why don't you get like a Les Paul Junior?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. That's like a punk guitar, right?" And so I messaged Bruce, and he's like, "Yeah, what do you want?" And then we looked at the finishes, the pickups, and kept it nice and simple. One pickup, toggle switch or push pull for single coil. Full humbucker. I'm like a humbucker guy, but I love like that twang, with the Americana thing. It's kind of important. So this has just become like my axe. I just absolutely love it. I play it all the time. And my Les Pauls, I'm not sure. I feel like I should sell them now, but
hold on to it. They become very valuable. Depends. What year is it?
I've got like 4 of them. So yeah, range from the mid '90s to each one's like 10-year gap, I guess, or 5-year gap.
Yeah, I've got one at home, but it's only a studio guitar, but the amount of guitar players who've dropped it, there's chunks out of it everywhere. It's like you started being on the road for about 10 years, you know what I mean? But anyway, note of contention there with different people I've worked with, "Oh, sorry, I just dropped your Les Paul, But yeah, thanks, mate.
As long as the headscot that doesn't come off, because that's the weak spot, isn't it, on a Les Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. But they are really heavy.
Yeah.
To play a whole gig with them, with a Les Paul. And amp-wise, what are you using?
It varies. I mean, I'm a Vox AC30 kind of fanatic. Okay. Those are my amps, but of course it's kind of hard to bring them to gigs. It's kind of heavy. But at home, I'm like really, when I'm practicing or when I'm recording, I tend to go for like, I've got a Vox Night Train, which is like a low wattage version. I've got a Mesa Boogie Transatlantic 30. They don't make them anymore, but it's the same concept, low wattage. Like closed back cabs, like a Orange cab, or, just, yeah.
You were never a Marshall guy?
I do like Marshalls, I do a lot, but I don't know, I like that kind of big kind of headroom, kind of, I don't know, not too much saturation. I mean, when I was growing up, I loved all that metal stuff, and so Mesa Boogie did kind of appeal to me because of like, I don't know, like Korn or Lamb of God or these kind of bands. I was like, yeah, that's the sound. But yeah, for my own music, I guess, yeah, the headroom is big for me,
And all I can remember is this evil woman give me some evil tea, and now I'm laid down here and it looks like my life is about to become a fucking misery. So I'm wondering what to say to get this evil woman away. My hands tied down, my legs tied down, there's no way of breaking free. And I'm wondering what to do to get this evil woman to choose my life, her life, oh. And all I can think of is this lyric I used to sing sometimes. Something about put those panties on. I can't really remember it right now, but if she comes into the room, she might think it's a performance art piece, a music video, or maybe even a recording session. So I'm wondering what to say to get this evil woman away. My hands tied down, my legs tied down, there's no way of breaking free. I'm wondering what to do. So I sing it loud and I sing it proud and I sing it now. 3, 4, don't take those panties off. I don't take those panties off. I said I don't take those panties off. I don't take those panties off. I said I don't take those panties off. I don't take those panties off. I said I don't take those panties off. I've been around, said I've been looking for you. I've been around, said I've been looking for you. I've been around, said I've been looking for you. I've been around, said I've been around, said I've been looking for you. I've been around, said I've been looking for you. I've been around, said I've been looking for you. I've been around, said I've been. Listen, baby, it wasn't me. It was an evil team given to me by the fucking wicked lady.
And you were talking about you like collaborating. Is there anyone you'd really love to collaborate with?
Ooh, Chelsea Wolfe. I'm a bit obsessed with her. Have you heard of her?
Yeah, sure.
Just like also Americana, gothic, you know. But she gets heavy. You can tell she likes metal. She collaborated with Converge, which I thought was pretty awesome. I'm trying to think who else. I don't know, Jerry Cantrell. I mean, I worship Jerry Cantrell. I model myself on him, so it'd be pretty cool to write some riffs with him.
Yeah, I worked with some acts in the States, band called Moto Pony. Have you ever heard of them from Seattle?
Nice.
I produced some stuff for them, and you'd be great with them.
Yeah?
I could hook you up with Daniel Blue, one of the best singers I've ever worked with in my career, man. He is an amazing singer. Really beautiful. Kind of Americana, but just, I'll send you some stuff. He's just got the most beautiful voice. I don't know where he's in America now. He's a bit of a kind of new age guy as well, and kind of troubled soul in his own way, as a lot of people are who are kind of in this business. You know?
Traumatized.
Trauma. Our favourite word. But it's just true, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You have to transmute it somehow.
Yeah, you have to kind of use it somehow use what we do to figure it out.
I think the most successful people I've met in music are the most traumatized.
Yeah.
But they figured it out. It's like they balance the books with their creative output.
A lot of them, though, for me, you've got a really good relationship with your dad, and I've mentioned this in the podcast before, so I won't bore the listeners out there if they listen to any of the other ones, but usually there's a problem with the dad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we've had, you know, like all father sons, we've had our ups and downs, but yeah, we're pretty tight. I mean, it's like a sort of, when it's music as well and family, it's like a psychic bond, you know, I feel like, you know, it's just this deep, deep connection. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I read an interview with your dad, actually. He's very honest, because he was asked about his relationship with Sting, and they said, sort of, do you, you know, are you close? And he said, to be honest, no, not personally close, but we're close on stage. We're like joined at the hip. But I thought that was very honest of him. He wasn't trying to, it's all amazing. You know, it's like, yeah, it's you know, we're not close personally, but
I think they're like brothers somehow, you know. But they it's like boundaries. It's like healthy boundaries, because in music there's not so much boundaries, either. You sort of together. But what I found fascinating about the two of them was they'd make the same mistakes at the same time, and therefore it's not a mistake.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That was like, whoa.
It's probably the telepathy kicking in.
I think
I think that does start to happen after a while when you're working with people on stage. You know, it's like you're literally talking to each other in your heads. You know what I mean? Because I always say you kind of, when a band performs, they should play for each other first and then play for the audience. You know, you should connect together first and then get the energy going backwards and forwards with the audience. But first and foremost, get it between you. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
Not be selfishly, you know, be unselfish. Like, I want to impress everybody out there. No, you want to, in a way, impress the guys on the stage with you first.
Yeah.
Get that, and then get the energy moving backwards and forwards. But you always can see a band when they're trying too hard, when musicians are trying too hard, and they're being very selfish with their playing. You can, I think that's why I'd say your dad is probably so successful as a session player. A lot of session players are very unselfish. Like they're always serving the melody. So they're always serving the song. You know what I mean? That's kind of their modus kind of operandi moving into their careers. Anybody inspiring you at the moment? Anybody out there that you really love that's new?
So I'm probably going to say all these like heavy bands, but I'd like to mention maybe the bands on my scene in London that I love. My friend Hayden, he's got his act is called Pink Eye Club, and he puts his laptop on stage, and then he does his vocals on top, and it's about the most punk thing going in London, if you ask me, and everyone's dancing, everyone's singing along.
Great.
And it just blows my mind. And there's similar acts like that, like Vanity Fair does a very similar thing, and then there's another band called Black Bordello, which are like a gothic kind of alt rock band. Seems like there's a lot of alt rock bands coming up in London at the moment.
Really?
And they're, you know, they're all a little bit younger than me, mid-20s, and I'm just like blown away with the way they're interpreting kind of the similar influences, but pushing it way further. And these guys can really play as well. Some high-level musicianship, but also super like dark and gothy and kind of expressing what's going on at the time. So I'd say those are the main influences for me. Just the people around me, like in London, just amazing. It's another band called House Arrest as well. I could go on and on.
So much music being made, isn't there? Sort of at such a high level as well. It's amazing. Okay, just question. We don't have to develop the conversation if you don't want to, but if we can kind of maybe just broach it. It's being the son of somebody famous. The pluses and the minuses. if you could kind of, if you know, if you don't want to go there too much, I don't mind. But I always try to. It is difficult sometimes. I've known a lot of, like Malcolm Bruce, you know, Jack Bruce's son is a really good friend of mine. Jim Palmer, you know, Robert Palmer's son is a friend of mine, and I know quite a few people. Zach Starkey, Ringo's son, and you know, it is difficult sometimes having to measure up to your dad. Do you ever feel that pressure, or have you come to terms with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously opened a lot of doors for me, and that's amazing. You know, what's it that they say? It's not what you know, it's who you know, and stuff like that.
Or who you blow, sorry. Did I say that? Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, you might get cancer. No.
I'm doomed anyway.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm conscious of it. Like, one thing, I think maybe when I was younger, I was like, no, don't judge me. I really cared what people thought of me, and like, I'm not like my dad, and I'm like me, and
Sure.
and trying to show that I was so different. And I've realized now I really can't change what people think. So if they think that I'm that, and that I'm, you know, entitled or all these things, then I'm not going to change their mind. Nothing I can do will change their mind. So just accept that people will judge me before they meet me, and that's absolutely fine. But some people will kind of get it, you know, and understand, like, that, yeah, it's pretty amazing to have that knowledge passed down. It's one thing I liked about India is they're quite keen on this lineage thing. I'm your second generation musician, but I'm 10th generation, which passed down for 10 generations, the way we play sitar. And it was like this huge pride of this thing being passed down. And I feel like maybe in the West, where, you know, a lot of people talk about like nepotism, and that's a really bad thing, and entitlement and all of that. But like, yeah, I see kind of both sides. So, you know, I see the good sides and the bad sides. But yeah, I don't know. Now I'm not touring with anymore. It's a little easier that I don't really have to bring it up as much, you know, and people don't have to judge me in that way. It's Rufus from London that plays, you know, Irish bars and like metal pubs, and, you know, it's like I've got a new identity now in London as being, you know, just this dude that plays gigs like 2 or 3 nights a week in various bands, and you know, in some ways it's smaller level, but it feels a little bit more authentic to me, and less like a shadow kind of looming down on me.
But let's be honest, Sting isn't going to carry anybody.
No,
yeah, not in a million years. Not for, you know, how much you'd love your dad or anything. You better be top of your game, or Sting's not having you. I mean,
that's very true.
There's no way in a million years that someone Sting of his stature would. Oh, it's because, you know, that would never ever be the case.
That's very true. Exactly, 100% agree.
Because your dad, just talking about Irish there, because your grandmother's Irish, isn't she? And your granddad is American.
That's right, yeah.
And your dad was born in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that Irish thing and folk music coming into was that in the house as well when you were growing up? Or probably not so much, I suppose.
No, not so much,
But maybe for your dad it was.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. It's funny because, you know, I don't speak Spanish. You know, I haven't really been around the culture growing up. But as an adult, I don't know, I just really vibe with people from Argentina, from Latin America, from Spain. And then in London, a lot of my friends are from Ireland. You know, a lot of my friends run Irish bars, pubs, and that's just where I like to hang out. And I get the call to play these places all the time. And it's just like, I don't know. I love going to Ireland as well, and
it's a place that loves music. I mean, I'm biased, of course, but I've lived most of my life in London. I see myself nearly as London Irish because I've been there since like '85.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's home.
The year I was born, '85.
Wow, God.
Nice connection.
Amazing. And but I do love the way Irish people connect with music. You know, the way it's a huge part of their lives. I mean, I've said it before, but you know, if you leave a pub. You know, at the end of a night in a pub in Dublin or anywhere in Ireland, people will be singing just for the sake of singing. They don't care whether they can sing or not is here nor there. They just love the connection with music, you know, and they love melancholy as well. You know, they love a good cry, you know, a sad song.
Yeah.
And the only other place that I've been to in my life that I felt that connection from it was Cuba.
Oh, okay.
I went to Havana, and that was the only other place where I thought, yeah, they get it the same way. It doesn't matter what's happening. It's just ingrained. It's everywhere you go. Yeah, and in Ireland, music is everywhere. It's a huge, it's part of your DNA, where sometimes other cultures maybe not so much. But saying that, going back to India, I mean, they revere their musicians over there. I think it's fair to say. Did you have that experience when you were in India? How much they respect musicians and the language of music?
Oh yeah, big time. It was so nice for me because I'd be walking with a guitar and people would just walk after me and say, play for me. And, you know, in London sometimes, you know, I feel like people cringe when they see you walk down the street with a guitar, like, oh God, another one. But yeah, I don't know, they had that, the revered, and they, you know, any time I'd sit on the street and play guitar, there'd be a huge crowd. It's not quite that way in London, maybe a bit more in Ireland, you know, but and maybe there's just so many musicians in London that come that, you know, people are a bit spoiled there. But yeah, I think for a rock, kind of alternative rock or folky musician like me, I think a lot of the Indian musicians I met were like really keen to like learn my chops or what I do. And of course I was very keen to learn what they do. You know, the scales, the way they play, the spirituality. It was like, this connection was, I would need to go back really.
Because I heard you had some Indian violin on Make It, and also some, was it Tingsga, is it the bells, the Tingsga bells? Like I heard little bits, not so much, you didn't lean on it too much, but it's definitely there. And that was that influenced obviously by the trip, or was it just one of the...
Yeah, because like I said, I was following the hippies and the hippie trail, and that led me to Copenhagen, and in Copenhagen, those were my friends. People are like, oh yeah, I've just come from India, and oh, I go to India every year. And one of the guys that produced half the record, Renato, he's like goes to India every single year pretty much, and so all his friends, you know, they bring back instruments from there, and he's like a percussionist, so he had a pool of musicians that were part of that world, and even though we're doing it in Copenhagen, it felt like we'd brought that energy there. You know, I'm pretty grateful for him that he called up those musos, because they really added, I think, to the sound.
Did you ever try to play the sitar?
I did, yeah, I did.
Did you manage it?
Yeah, a little bit. I had that little pick, you know, they've got a special style pick, and the posture. I mean, I didn't master it at all. I was around a lot of people that were really good, and they just say, come here, I'll show you a few little bits and pieces. But yeah, it's fascinating. I was more just like soaking up the scales and the modal stuff. That was... just learning it on a guitar. And I'd go to places like Varanasi, you know, like where George Harrison was buried or cremated, and
the Dalai Lama as well. Yeah. And
like where the Beatles went in Rishikesh and stuff like that. Just I don't know. Like I guess George Harrison, the way he interpreted like that music, I think is what I was similar kind of. I want to do it a bit like that.
I was listening to My Sweet Lord the other day. I mean, I love that tune. I mean, you know, I think he's so underrated. But I know he's not to Beatles fans, but he was such a brilliant songwriter. To get that chant in there and make it work in a pop song. I mean, it's genius.
And the key change too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful piece of music. And my wife is not a Beatles fan. Sorry, guys. I mean, I am, but my wife isn't. And we argue about this all the time. And it's just slightly sidetracked here, but you know how people say mad stuff. Like someone the other day said to me, what was about? The Beatles were overrated. It was like the Beatles were overrated, and the other mad thing was like, Frank Sinatra. He kind of just talks the songs. He doesn't really sing. It's like one of my favorite singers of all time. One of my favorite bands. I'm like, I was stunned but just opinions, you know. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
You know? And you know the phrase, what is it? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. But it's, as I said, I felt George just had some beautiful melodies. And what was the Beatles one he did? Within You, Without You. Yeah. And it was just beautiful as well.
Yeah.
And I love his way with melody, and I think he had a much bigger influence. Well, maybe again for Beatles fans. Yeah, come on, Rob, we all know that stuff. But he was a huge part. It wasn't only Paul and John. Ruling the roost there. He had a huge influence, I think, on them. Did you ever get to meet him?
George Harrison? I wish. No, that would have been amazing. No, I didn't. But yeah, always like a huge fan. I remember I really liked it when they re-recorded, you know, the songs with John's vocals and stuff, like Free as a Bird, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I remember, because I was like 7 or 8 when that came out. I was like, oh. I wrote like 5 songs that were just complete copies of that. I loved it. just everything Beatles I love. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So what's next, Rufus?
What's next? Well, we've recorded a bunch of songs with Joshua Wolf, who did the last 2 releases, the last 2 EPs. So we've got 2 recorded at the moment, and we've just got a backlog of songs written that I want to go and record. So it's just a matter of time and doing them more and being strategic. You know, like, do we want to do album number 3, or are we going to do it for another EP, or are we going to go more the single route? But I'm sort of enjoying kind of pacing myself. I feel like since 2018 I've released at least 2 things every year, so there's no rush. I've got a lot of music that I want to promote and get people to go back and listen to, so it's ready. But just try and be strategic, because there's no record label. It's all independently done. So, and we've got a little team, just try and do it right where most people get to hear it, you know.
Amazing. Could you play us a tune before, just to finish off the podcast? Something, I don't know, acoustic-y or electric-y?
Yeah, for
whatever
sure.
Floats your boat, man.
I'd absolutely love to.
And it's been amazing having you here. So thank you.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate you so much.
Brilliant chatting with you, and looking forward to the tune.
Let's give it a load of reverb. All right. Yeah, it's good. I think I'm ready. I went down to church. Church was on fire. The white horse watches carved out the moon. I have lived in the dirt, bodies all around. Am I the only one who's waited this long? I've gone too far, and I've lost your trust, but I will guide you on. Save your head, falling into dust. Save your head. In the heart of the storm, the blackbird's curse. I'm packing my bags, smoke all around, but I will not rest. I'll hunt you down, I'll clip you wings. Nowhere left to go, but I've gone too far, and I've lost your trust, and I will guide you on. Save your head, falling into dust. Save your head, falling into us. Save your head, falling into dust. Save your head. The church was on fire. The white horse watches. Yeah, I carved out the moon. But I have lived in the dirt. Bodies all around. Am I the only one who's waited this long?
Woo! Fantastic.
Thanks.